should start. We should start.
Yes. I will just start on the whole thing. Or we just copy it back. I don't know.
So,
I will remember. I'm going to go to tours. So the whole page is my photo.
see if they're going to film yourself.
I know, right?
That's pro. That's a pro move right there.
I don't know where to start.
You ready? You gonna start your talk now?
Okay. Hi everyone. Thanks for coming. I know most of you, but for those who don't know me, I'm Felicia. I'm a graphic design major, a senior, and I am originally from Sweden, and I've been in the US for 5 years. This year, I came here as an au pair, and then I decided to study here at North Park. So that's why I'm here. I started doing art. I've been doing art as long as I can remember, but graphic design, especially, I probably started in high school because I went to the media and aesthetics program in high school, and I took some graphic design classes there. And I found out that I really liked it, so that's how I ended up here. My inspiration is usually taken from my surroundings and a lot from my family and just how other people around me interact with the world and how I interact with the world and my experience interacting with it. And usually my process in making art, usually I get an idea that is kind of a finished piece in my mind, and then I just kind of bring it out on a paper or the program that I usually work in, or something like that, and then it kind of inspires these like series of works that brings it all together, and these all inspired each other in a way, so that's how they came to be. This exhibition, I'll talk about it a little bit, is about self-identity to me, and then finding yourself in a world where there's so much information and impressions around you. You're kind of born into this world where there's just so much information, so many opinions everywhere. It can be hard to know who you are and what to believe and how to find somewhere you feel comfortable with. So that's kind of what it's about. It's more of a general overview of the humans as a species, or yeah, it's not so much about my own experience, but as a human race, kind of. And then this exhibition, I see it kind of as 3 steps, starting with this middle piece here, or the series. It's kind of the feeling of being lost with all the impressions, kind of drowning you out. And then the second step would be the icons over there, and then the hands on the other side of the wall here. I see that as a step back from yourself and your surroundings and kind of analyzing what you want to be and where you want to go, and kind of trying to figure out who you are. And then the third step is these here on this wall. It's kind of that finding that place where you feel like you belong, and finding these people that you can relate to, and finding where you want to be and who you want to be. So that's kind of it. Yeah, that's all.
Where did you come up with the names for the icons in the case over here?
Oh, the icons, those are inspired by songs, so all those names are songs. And so I listened to a song once a day, and I made an icon for that song, kind of based on my own impression of the song and how I interpreted it. So, yeah.
Did you do that same process with these three on this side since they're attached?
Yeah. So they kind of go together. Yeah.
Can you see a little bit about that, please?
Oh, this one? Sure. I made this for a class, but I kind of made it as a reaction to what's happening in Ukraine. I'm not sure if everyone knows about the sunflower story. I'll tell it. It was basically the sunflower became kind of this symbolic thing for Ukraine and standing with Ukraine, because there was this grandma or old lady who went up to the Russian soldiers and gave them some sunflowers that when they got defeated, at least something good would come out of it. Sunflowers would grow from the ground. So it kind of became this symbol, and basically I took that and made it into this poster with the Ukrainian colors. So. Yes.
I love your little ghosts and all of your works on that wall. Where did you come up with the idea of a little ghost?
I'm not sure. I came up with this one first. And I like to create these fictional places in my mind. I don't want a direct relation to humans, but in a visual way, more like kind of this way. There's I don't know, a creature representing. So that's kind of what, and I also thought they were really cute, so. Yeah.
So to be clear, the ghost is not meant to be scary.
No, not really. I mean, I know there's like kind of this a little bit eerie feeling about them, but I see them in a positive, kind of happy light. But I guess that's up to whoever is viewing it, too.
The visual language reminds me actually of spy movies from the 60s. Some of the
Yeah.
images you would see in the credits.
Yes.
Are the ghosts intended to be like in the spotlight? Is that what you were?
I think, kind of, yeah. I wanted to create that kind of shadow that a spotlight brings. So, it's more of a visual thing, decision I made.
I think like you've got some, like the way that you've included so many different types of ways that we can experience the time that went into it is really quite effective, and I wonder how much you think about that in while you're making these, or like what feels like it, what feels like is the appropriate way to show each thing. Like your statement has something about this kind of like way that we construct our own identity and what we want to sort of deconstruct, what we want to reconstruct, you know, I think about having that statement is really a helpful way to sort of see these digital works, because while the record isn't necessarily always apparent in terms of what choices were made and what was added and what was taken away, like they still obviously have a very clear sense of choices, and then when you print them, all of that kind of solidifies into the final finished thing, right? Which oftentimes I feel like when you see a print, you don't think about all of the stages. So it's great to have this video also that's sort of showing a much more sort of process view, and then also this left to right kind of sequence. I feel like there's just this sense of a different handling or approach to the time and the choices that go in. I mean, even the ghost in a funny way, like this sort of like death and rebirth in some other form kind of idea. But how do you think about time and the labor that goes into the design and ultimately what form it's going to take?
Yeah, I mean, I like to show, I feel like often you look at something and you don't know how much time it took to make that thing. It takes longer than you think. And I guess this video is kind of showing the process of that. And it's always interesting to me to see how other people work and how they create something. So I thought it would be a good idea to include that in my show, since I had the opportunity to kind of show how much goes into something. But some pieces, they just kind of come to me and they don't take long at all, while others I spend hours and days and weeks on. So it just depends on how my brain is working at the time. Yeah.
There's like a joke, I can't remember who said it, and I don't want to try to remember, but like an art joke about someone complaining that a drawing took someone 5 minutes and how could it be worth very much. But then the artist's response was, it took me 50 years to make this in 5 minutes, you know? And so I think about that too in the designs that might take you less time, also is just, you know, the accumulation of years of looking and thinking and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's the experience too, the idea that comes from somewhere. And, I guess that also goes into it, if you count it all up. So
Yeah.
it's interesting.
Do these change much for you in physical form? Like their presence, their scale, do they feel really different to you as objects? printed rather than like images on a screen?
Definitely. I mean,
Like, did you feel surprised when you saw them printed out, like, from the plotter printer on good paper? Or did you feel like, yeah, I'm curious about what that experience is like for you, because that's another really interesting thing, I think, about design or illustration, right? If it's done digitally, like, you have all of this time that you've spent looking at it in one form.
yeah.
And then if it's printed, it's in such a drastically different form and scale and illumination, or like madness. It's like changes so much. I'm just like, what are you experiencing, do you think, in reflection and seeing these now, so many of them printed? How are you thinking about them differently?
They definitely feel, I mean, they look way better than on the screen. And sometimes you have it on the screen and you print it and it looks like garbage. And it did happen to this one, so I had to change it. But it just feels more real. Like, you have it on the screen, you made it, but now it's also physical, so you can, it's a different kind of experience. But it's also, what I like about, digital work is that you can print as many as you want. It's not a painting that will be one original. You can make as many as you want, and they will all look the same, exactly the same. And I kind of like that part of the digital art. So yeah, I guess it feels more real to have it up on the wall rather than just on my screen. Yeah.
So just to kind of add to that, so you were saying you can print out and have kind of all this like the same, but I also think it's interesting too how it can exist really small or really big, or on matte paper or glossy paper, or or on a bag or in fabric, or that it can be in so many different kind of versions that can change the way that we respond to it and interact with it, and you have the ability to play with it, and you have the ability to recycle that image and use parts of it in other places, especially since you're working with vector graphics, and so you're, the sizing of it is not a limitation at all. So I think that's just really exciting, and also kind of fun to experiment with different ways of it living.
Yeah. I think that part is like my favorite part of digital art. I can kind of do what I want with it. So.
Just looking at these little posts, and I like them, so I'm like asking questions about them. Are the flowers almost meant to look like their mouths? Because one of them is frowning.
I didn't think about it that way, but it's interesting that you see that.
I'm having fun with that.
Yeah.
I guess the question I have is, why did you decide that they're going to hold flowers instead of anything else?
I kind of have this narrative in my head. I kind of create these like little stories about some of my pieces, and the ghosts, to me, I'll tell the story. They all came from a field of flowers, but different flowers, and then they found each other, and now they're here. So that's kind of the story I made up, and I don't know what it means, but that's kind of that finding your people and your belonging. But yeah.
Have you written out this story?
No, it's just in my head.
You should write it out. Make a storybook.
Sure. Yeah.
Or just leave it in your head and it gets to be surprising every time you tell people about it out loud.
Yeah.
earlier critique about this sense of mythology, like this sort of origin story, and like where we come from, where we're going, who the creator is, what our purpose is, how we find meaning. It's all really there, and it's like the fact that it does reference something that feels familiar is sort of adds another layer of connection. Like, I look at those two closest to you, the ghosts, and it makes me think of the Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. Like it has, and some of these really do have like a 60s and 70s feeling to them, anyway, it's everything at once. Like I feel like this, like just the symbol of the ghost of being able to mean two things at the same time, or make you feel two feelings at the same time, right? I think these are really exciting realizations, though, to like carry with you, because then it's not such a struggle once you stop having assignments to figure out what you're going to make work about, right? Like you have a storyline to follow and characters to follow, and you sort of know what your work is about and what it's trying to do. And I think that's really going to be very valuable.
Let me know if anyone wants the prints after the show. I'm getting rid of them, so if anyone wants them, just tell me. I'm moving. I can't bring them.
I want the 3 ghosts. Claiming it.
Okay, I'm moving home to Sweden.
You should take bids and donate it to Ukraine.
Or think about trading artwork that
Yeah.
can be more easily portable
Yeah.
too. I don't know. Lots of strategy. I like the donations to Ukraine though. That's a good idea.
I mean, only because it's there on the wall. I'm not.
No,
I didn't kind of.
No.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a poster. I think that's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Felicia. Are these stickers?
No, they're just.
Oh, one was sitting right behind the other, so I was like, oh my gosh, these are I are really beautiful. Nice. It's so great seeing them at this scale. I still love the idea of like a really huge one too.
Yeah.
Right. Someday.
No, I was like, yesterday, and I was like,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
So I feel like I can these guys.
Look at it.
It's like you said, a 5-star.
Did you ever read the book Olivia growing up? Let me pull up. Maybe if I see the pictures.
Are you still filming?